In the previous lesson, you looked at our free demo AI app as it would appear on a phone. In this lesson, we're going to look at AI for business, but instead of top down via an app that might be used on a phone by an exec or a manager, this time we're going to look at it bottom up on a full desktop where we might, for instance, be a frontline worker or an analyst looking at the same data that was shown in the phone app. So just to kind of give you some context, if we click on these buttons and go back to the phone layout, this is the phone app that you would have seen for our free demo. Click on these buttons, go to desktop layout, brings you to this one that we're looking at here. Now, if you've seen the last video, you would have noticed from some of our analysis that an interesting part of the business was our medium red widgets. So we can see over here, we've got filters. We've got the medium red widgets, which is part of our item dimension. We've got customers, regions, brands, product color, product size. But let's look at medium red widgets. So now the whole screen is filtered on medium red widgets. In the bottom left here, we're seeing that it's drilling down by skull. We could drill by skulk, which is stock keeping unit in a particular location for a particular customer. And so here are all these different combinations of medium red widgets being sold in different regions to different types of customers. For this video, I'm going to put it back to skull, which is skewed by location, because we can see something really interesting. If we look at the chart at the top here, we can see that we've got way too much inventory. So this light blue in the middle is giving us an idea of our upper and lower limits that we should have inventory for. We can see we've got way too much. But strangely, if we look at the customer service, which is the red dots, it's taken a dive. We've got terrible customer service and way too much inventory. So what's going on? If we look at the KPI table at the bottom, we can see instantly what's happening. If we move over to the right, where we can see opening stock on hand, we can look at medium red widgets in the south, and we see that our opening stock on hand was $90,000. What do we got here? We're looking at this in profit. Let's change this to say COGS. So if we look at it in COGS, we've got, based on our cost of goods, we've got $81,000 worth of opening stock, where the target was $1,000. And that's medium red widgets in the south. But if we go to the bottom here, we can see that our opening stock on hand was $17,000 for medium red widgets in the north, and we should have had $45,000 worth of stock. So we can see that we're understocked here in the north and we're overstocked in the south. So as you would have, if we look at let's look at these individually, and we can see here that looking at medium red widgets in the south, indeed we have so much stock that we've got $80,000 worth. You don't even notice the sales at the bottom, which is around the $1,000 mark. So obviously a ridiculously amount of excessive stock there. If we go to medium red widget and look at it in the north, we see the opposite picture. We see that our inventory should be up here where we've got the light blue. Customer service has taken a tank, and the reason is obvious. We've got way too little inventory. In fact, we went out of stock back there in October. We're back in stock now, but we're selling out every month the stock that we have. And in fact, we can see that although right now we're not out of stock, we've been losing sales. This light blue line is showing us our sales orders, and the dark blue line is showing us our sales invoices. So we're losing sales because we're running out of stock and then restocking by the end of the month. So the obvious solution here, as we saw in the previous video, is that we need to move stock from the south region to the north region. Now, if we do that, what happens? Well, what we couldn't see in the last video was a cycle change. This is information that we're looking at for June. If we imagine what this would look like if we did actually move that stock across, what would we see? Well, let's click on July and we see the answer. So in July, we've seen a massive increase in sales invoices, and that's basically all those back orders and all those customers who couldn't get to their stock can now get to it because we've moved all that stock from the different area. So we're seeing much better performance in sales. We're seeing customer service is going through the roof. We've got great customer service, great sales. And if we look at inventory, we see that back in the south, we still have way too much inventory, but it's dropped down significantly. This is telling us we can move out even more inventory if we need to. If we look at the medium red widgets in the north, let's get it back, medium red widgets, and just in the north, we can see that we have had a massive leap in sales, but we still don't have enough inventory. We're still way under our minimum inventory guide rail. So we need to do the same thing we did last month. We need to move all of this stock, a whole bunch of this stock, across from one region to another. If we want to see the impact on the overall business, let's have a look at that. Let's look at profit, go back to June, and we see that our profit, and actually let's take off our filters. So we're looking at the entire business. In fact, if we just hit home, that gives us the entire business. In June, for the entire business, in terms of our profit, our target was $84,000. We only hit $53,000, which means our performance was at 62%, right? Terrible performance. What happened in July? Well, we had all of those sales come through. We can see on the chart here, we had massive loss of sales due to out of stocks. In June, we had a massive leap in sales because we had all that inventory moved to the right spot. So our sales invoices went from June, a profit of $53,000 or gross profit of $53,000 in June, to a gross profit of $106,000 in July. Indeed, our profit has doubled in 1 month, and now we're exceeding our targets. We've had a great month where we're certainly hitting 100% performance. In fact, we've overshot it by 26%, which is great. And then let's look at some other KPIs in the business. So if we look at stock, we can see back in June, our performance as far as stock goes is showing that we've got way too much stock. We've got, let's have a look here. It is a variance of 140. So we've got $140,000 too much worth of stock. And if we look at it in terms of how far is it above the maximum stock we should have, it's 107,000. In July, what happens? Our variance has dropped to 75, which means we're only 19 over our maximum. So we don't have wasted money tied up in stock that's not doing any work because we moved a bunch of that stock from one region to another. And if we do that again this month, we should be able to get that gap down to zero, so we're not wasting any money in excessive amount of stock. The last thing to look at before we finish this video is customer service level. If we go and cast our eye over the customer service level, we've got sales invoices, we've got sales orders. Let's go home so everything's set back to zero. We can see that we have performance for customer service at 65%. However, we had that leap in customer service that happens in July, so our customer service goes to 99%. So what we've just seen is one change, which is moving stock from one region to another at a fairly low level, which would typically be pretty hard to find. It's like the needle in the haystack. Having that one problem solved for us has doubled our profit, substantially increased our customer service, and it has reduced the amount of money we're wasting in excess stock. So in other words, our cash flow has improved. So with one swift movement, we've had an increase in profit, increase in customer service, and an improvement to our cash flow. This use of AI to help us with our business planning and our analytics is really the low-hanging fruit of AI. And one more thing to mention, as per our discussion with the app, you can click on one button just to see all of the alerts. And in this particular case, we've only got one alert, which is showing for this particular filter, which is those medium red widgets, those troublemakers. We've also got this chat bubble where you can actually have a conversation with the paid version of Power BI. This is the free version of Power BI, but with a paid version of Power BI, you can have a chat with the chatbot, and this UI will change depending on what you're talking about. And we've got a video to show you how that works. But on this particular one, even on the free demo, the interaction still works. So you can click on threats and you see threats over here. You can click on excess and you can see there's our medium red widgets in the south giving us excess. Our medium red widgets are in the, where are they? Medium red widgets causing us a problem, as we saw in both the app and in the dashboard. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.